can see the slides, is it?
Can.
Okay. Shall I start?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, teacher and my fellow friends. Today we are going to present on the topic incentive for promotion of exports. So before we start, let me introduce my group members. I myself, Durga Yashini, and with me, Nurul Izzati and Nurul Ashikin. So I hope you all know what is the meaning of export. So export means direct export from Malaysia of agriculture produce or product from manufacturing. However, it does not include sales to company located in free zones, licensed warehouse and manufacture and other wait, and other operation in relation to goods in licensed warehouse from section 65A of Custom Act 1967. And it also does not include sales to company located in Langkawi, Labuan or Tioman. Next, value of increased export. The income exemption is computed based on free on board FOB value of increased export. It requires the value of increased export requires a common 12-month period with the same year end, and average FOB, which means the free on board value of export sales, where the company is newly incorporated or charge of accounting year end. Value of increased also there is also one important thing in the value of increased export, which is the preceding year, which means the previous year must have export and should not be nil amount. And how to calculate the increase in export? So export sales this year, which means the current year, minus with the export sales of last year, so we will get the increase in export. Next, these are the exclusion of product. We can find this one from our textbook, page 351, appendix 2.1, schedule of product that is not eligible for export incentives. So I think we can skip this one. Okay. Next, this is the important thing in this topic, tax exemption on the value of increased export. So for the value added, we will be looking into three main thing, which is manufacturing product, agriculture produce, and also the statutory income. For the manufacturing product, the exemption of statutory income equivalent to 10% of the value of increased export if the value added is more than or at least 30%. And the tax exemption of statutory income equivalent to 15%, 15% of the value of increased export if the value added is more than or at least 50%. Then for the agriculture produce, the amount exempted would be 10%, 10% of the value of increased export of the agriculture produce. And for the statutory income, the amount of income exemption is to be deducted from 70%, 70% of statutory income in a year assessment. So for the significant export, I'll explain later. Let's look into the example of value added. Kayu Sanjan Berhad is a wood-based company resident in Malaysia. It produces plywood slabs and agriculture produce. So they already mentioned that the plywood slab is an agriculture produce, and manufactures chairs and high-grade paper for security printing. So we have another two manufacturing product, which is chair and also high-grade paper for security printing. It has been agreed with the tax authorities that sales revenue from all these three products constitute a single business source. Kayu Sandrian Berhad has been granted with pioneer status for manufacturing of security paper, but the tax relief period has ended in the year 2010. So these are the relevant details are as follows. For the sales revenue in the 2011, in the year 2011, 1 million, in 2012, 1.5 million, and in 2013, 1.2 million. For export sales revenue, the chairs, we are given 35% of value added. So as I told before, if the value added is more than 30%, the income exemption on the value of increased export would be 10%. So the income exemption would be 10% for the share. Next is security paper. We are given 60% of value added. So if the value added is more than 50%, the income exemption on value of increased export would be 15%. So for the security paper, the income exemption would be 15%. For the chairs just now, the income exemption would be 10%. And the plywood slabs is an agriculture produce, so it would be 10%, 10% in income exempted of the value of increased export. So far, you all can understand, right? I hopefully you all can understand. Next is sales to free industrial zones and licensed manufacturing warehouse. In 2011, we have 600,000. In 2012, 900,000. 2013, 800,000. And statutory income from the business in 2011 would be 700,000. 2012, 300,000. And in 2013, 400,000. Okay. Next, the Kayu Sundran Berhad is eligible for the allowance for increased export in year 2012 and year assessment 2013 because it is resident in Malaysia. In the question, they already give that the company Kayu Sundran Berhad resident in Malaysia, and it is directly involved in manufacturing chairs, security paper, and producing plywood and agriculture produce. For year assessment 2012 and 2013, it does not enjoy any tax incentive as it pioneer status had handed 2 years earlier, which is the year assessment 2010. Next, it has recorded increase in export of manufactured goods and agriculture produce. So this is why the Kayu Sendirian Berhad is eligible for allowance for increased export. Next, the rate of allowance for increased export, as I mentioned before, 10% for chairs as the value added is more than 30%, 15% for security paper as the value added is more than 50%, 10% for plywood slabs for being an agriculture produce. So let's see the computation for this question. So in the year 2012, the statutory income would be 300. So where did I get? From here. The statutory income is 200 and increase in export. For the chair, how to calculate the income? Sorry. Chairs, how to calculate the increase in export? So we have to take the export sales from the 2012 and minus with the export sales of the last year. So we have to take this 1 million minus with the 550. So we will get 450 times with 10%. 10%, where did I get? The value added is more than 30%. So that the income exemption would be the 10%. Same goes to the security paper. We have to calculate the increase in export by export sales 2012 minus with the export sales of the 2011. So we will get 1.2 million increase in export times with 15% because the value added is more than 50%. Then the plywood, the increase in export would be 1.5 million times with 10%. So the all together we have to plus, we will get the allowance for increased export. Then we have to minus with the 70% of statutory income. So once we minus, we will get the unabsorbed allowance for increased export, which we should carry it forward to the next year, which means to the 2013, in the year 2013. Then statutory income minus with the 70% of statutory income, we will get the statutory income after the allowance for increased export. Next, for the year 2013, the statutory.
I just want to confirm on how you get that 450, 1,002 and 1,005. I just want to confirm that. Can you
this one, Doctor?
Yeah. Just go back to the information. Slide on the information. Okay, hold on. 2000, because you start in 2012, was it? Your taxcom is in 2011 or 2012?
Yes.
Dia tak
2012, doctor.
2012. So that's why. So means that in 2012, for example, chairs 1,000. So the increase is 450 because 1,000 minus 550. When it comes to 2013 will be, there's no increase then. Okay, so okay, tahu.
Yes, 8.
Alright. So 2012 there's an increase. Okay.
Hmm.
But
Yes.
but the competition of the 30% value added to do we have to compute that or is given? 450 over 5.
Sorry, doctor.
Yeah. How do you get that 35% value added to?
This one they already give in the question. It's already given.
Alright. Because I'm trying to see, for example, the increase is by 450, right? The base is 550 times dengan 550. Tak tahulah macam mana buat. Nak cari increase tu jadinya 450 over 550 times by base lah balik kan. Percentage of increase tu berapa macam mana nak kira? Value
Percentage of increase.
The increase by 450, right? For talking about cash,
Yes.
2012, values increased by 450. But what is the percentage of increase? Kalau percentage of increase should be the increase is 450 over 550 kan? Tapi base dia 550 juga. So akan 550 juga.
Kalau I'm not sure, doctor, but I think 450 over 550.
Tu times kan dengan
I think so.
550 lah balik kan? Base dia.
To calculate the percentage, increase percentage.
Mesti dengan base. Tak apa, it's okay. Okay, let's go next.
Okay, for the year 2013, okay, the statutory income is 400. And for the increase in export, the shares would be no increase as doctor mentioned just now. 800 minus 1,000, so there will be nil amount. So there is no increase. Then for the security paper, the increase in export is 500 times with 15%. Why 15%? Because the value added is more than 50%. And for the plywood, increase in export is 700,000 times with 10%. Why 10%? This is because the agriculture produce. Then we have to brought forward the unabsorbed allowance for increased export. We have to brought forward here. So the allowance for increased export brought forward 165,000. So we have to plus this all. Then we will get 310. Then we have to use the same method as this. 70%, we have to minus with the 70% of statutory income. 400 times 70%, we will get 280. Then we should minus 310 minus 280, we will get the unabsorbed allowance for increased export, which we should carry it forward to next year. Then the statutory income minus with the 70% of the statutory income, we will get the statutory income after allowance for increased export. So you all can catch up, right? You all understand or?
I'm okay.
Hopefully you all understand.
I think okay kot.
Okay. Then next is exemption of income for significant increase in export, penetration of new markets, and export excellence award. So for the tax incentive, the rate of exemption, when the rate of exemption is 30% of the value of increased export, where the value of increased export of the company in the basis period for the year assessment is at least 50%. Then only we will get the exemption of 30%. Then for the rate of exemption is 50%, is when the company succeed in penetrating the new market. The list of export market is determined by the Matrix. Countries not considered as a new market are as follows: US, Canada, European Union countries, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Korea, Singapore, Australia, and New Zealand. So these are the countries which is not considered as a new market penetration. And then for the rate of exemption, 100% of exemption, uh, the company should achieve the highest increase in export. Such companies are given Export Excellent Award by Ministry of International Trade and Industry, which is known as MITI. So that's all from me. Next, I'll pass to Izzati.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Next, I will continue on Malaysian International Trading Company. A company approved as a Malaysian International Trading Company is eligible for the tax incentive. So to qualify, the company must produce a letter from Malaysian External Trade Development Corporation certifying this condition. So the first condition is the company is incorporated in Malaysia and at least 60% of the issued share capital of the company is Malaysian owned. And then the second, the company has achieved annual sales of more than 10 million ringgit. And then the third is not more than 20% of its annual sales is derived from the trading of commodities. And then the last one is the company use local services for purpose of banking, finance and insurance, and also use local ports and airports. So
Exactly.
yes.
What do you mean by means that now we say that the company must not have more than 20% of sales derived from trading of commodities. What do you mean by that? What is trading of commodities?
Means trading of commodities ni dia selain daripada yang dibenarkan untuk ekspor. After that, we will look on the
All right,
example.
thank you.
Okay. So the MITC is eligible for the tax exemption of 20% of the value of increased exports, restricted to a maximum of 70% of statutory income. And then MITC also is eligible for the tax exemption for 5 consecutive years, beginning from the year of assessment is first qualified for the exemption. And then if any amount determined to be exempted is not absorbed because of restriction to the 70% of statutory income, such amount may be carried forward to the next year. So next. Okay, next let's look on example. Here, Bolis Holding Berhad owns 65% and Foreign Private Limited own 35%. And then the comparative details of its income are as follows. For the year ended 31st March 2010 and for the year ended 31st March 2011. So domestic sales revenue is 2 million in 2010 and 2.5 million in 2011. And then export sales revenue to ASEAN countries is 3.6 million in 2010 and 3.2 million in 2011. And to Europe, 2.4 million in 2010 and 3 million in 2011. To China is nil in 2010 and 800,000 in 2011. And then to pre-industrial zones and licensed manufacturing warehouse is 1 million in 2010 and 2 million in 2011. The total sales revenue in 2010 is 9 million and in 2011 is 11.5 million. The trading commissions and gains from commodity exchange is 500,000 in 2010 and 300,000 in 2011. So the statutory income from the business is 200,000 in 2010 and 250,000 in 2011. And statutory income from interest is 12,000 in 2010 and 10,000 in 2011. And then the approved donation is 5,000 in both years. So the notes here is about 10% of export sales relate to the sales of natural rubber and crude palm oil. And then sales revenue stated at free on board value and all exports are shipped to Port Klang and Johor Port. And then boleh sedia berhad transact or trade through Malayan banking berhad and insurers with Malaysian insurance companies. So before that, doctor ask about not more than 20% of the trading communities. So these are the trading commodities, which is natural rubber and crude palm oil, which is the Durga show to us the exclusion to be export to the other countries. So next, in the year of assessment 2010, Bolis and Berhad does not qualify as an MITC as its annual sales revenue fell short of 10 million ringgit because the sales revenue is only 9 million ringgit in 2010. And then in the year of assessment 2011, Bolis and Berhad qualify as a MITC as it fulfills all four conditions, which is the company is incorporated in Malaysia and more than 60% Malaysian owned. And then for the year of assessment 2011, the company achieved annual sales of 11.5 million ringgit. And then they only use 10% of the annual sales is derived from the trading of commodities, which is natural rubber and crude palm oil. And then the company also used the Malaysian ports, Malaysian bank and insurance companies for their business. And then upon obtaining a letter from the matrix, Boleh Senja Berhad is eligible for the MITC incentive for the year assessment in 2011. And then Boleh Senja Berhad also qualified for the MITC incentive for 5 consecutive year of assessment, which is from year of assessment 2011 until year of assessment in 2015. So next. So here is the computation for the year assessment 2011. The statutory income is 250,000, and then FOB value of export in 2011 is 7 million, which is 3.2 million plus 3 million and plus another 800. And then the FOB value of exports in 2010 is 6 million. Net is value of increased export is 1 million, which is 7 million minus 6 million, you get 1 million. And then the 20% of value of increased exports is 200,000. The restricted to 70% of statutory income is 175,000. And then amount that will carry forward to the next year is 25,000. And then the MITC income exempted is only 175,000, and the statutory income from the business is 75,000. And then statutory income from interest is 10,000. The aggregate income is 55,000, and minus accrued donation is 5,000. The total income is 80,000. So next. Next we look on exemption of income in respect of value of increased exports in service sector. The exemption is given to the person that export service. So these are the qualifiers service, which legal, accounting, architecture, marketing, business consultancy, office services, construction management, building management, plantation management, private healthcare, private education, publishing services, information technology and communication services, engineering services, printing services, and also local franchise services. The companies that export these services to foreign clients are exempted from the payment of income tax in respect of income equal to 50% of the value of increased exports, but not exceeding 70% of statutory income. So next.
Is this part of MITC or the different subtopic? The 50% exemption. Dia masuk MITC ke tak?
No, yang ni yang lain. Under service sector.
Alright.
Okay. So next is exemption of income for a person resident in Malaysia from a healthcare service business provided in Malaysia to foreign client. So this exemption is given to a person resident in Malaysia for healthcare service provided in Malaysia to foreign client. So a foreign client is a company, a partnership, an organization or cooperative society that is incorporated or registered outside Malaysia or a non-Malaysian citizen individual. A non-Malaysian citizen individual does not include all for this, which is a non-citizen participating in the Malaysia My Second Home program and his dependents, a non-citizen holding a Malaysian student pass and his dependent, and a non-citizen holding a Malaysian work permit and his dependents, and also a citizen who is a non-resident living abroad and his dependent. So 100% of the value of increased export is set off against a maximum of 70% of the statutory income. So that's all from me. I will pass to Ashi for next slide. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Zati. Okay, next we proceed on qualifying company and qualifying product or activities. So what you have to take note under this is first, deductions for promotions of export is available to a resident company in Malaysia involved in manufacturing, trading and agriculture activities for the basis years of a year assessment. And the second, expenses incurred by a company in its business primarily and principally for the purpose of seeking opportunities or in creating or increasing demand for the export of good or agriculture produce, manufacture, produce, assemble, process, pack and graded or sorted in Malaysia. So for example, Ashi Sendirian Berhad, a company resident in Malaysia, carries on the business of manufacturing of chili sauce. The company incurred expenses for seeking opportunities and expanding market for the chili sauces manufactured in Malaysia to country abroad. So this company is qualified for the further deductions as this company fulfill the two requirements, which is first company resident and it's for a manufacturing and it's a manufacturing company, and then all the expenses that incurred is on seeking opportunities and expanding market, and it ascertaining the adjusted income from a business. Next. Next is type of deduction from promotion of export and qualifying expenditure. So there are three types of deduction, which is single deduction, double deduction, and further deduction. For the single deduction, there are expenses bringing potential importers to Malaysia, and this is a single deduction with restriction, which is for expenses that incurred on the accommodation, maximum 300 per day for maximum 3 nights, and sustenance is maximum 150 ringgit per day for maximum 3 days. And then registration for patent, trademarks, or product license overseas. Generally, expenses not wholly and exclusive incurred in the production of income is not allowable as a deduction again the gross income of business. But however, for the promote export, the following expenses are allowed as a single deduction. For the double deduction, as we can see, registration of patent, trademark, or product licensing overseas is under a single deduction, right? But then because of because of effect from the year assessment 2006, the amount of registration of patent, trademark or product licensing overseas now given as a double deduction on expenses that incurred for registration fees and other expenses directly incurred for the registration of patent, trademark or product licenses overseas, which is stamp duty, legal fees and consultancy fees. Okay, next is further deductions. For the further deductions, there are a lot of qualifying expenditure under further deductions, which is publicity and advertisement. For the cost advertisement in any media outside Malaysia, like media examples like television, website, magazine, radio, and cost of brochures and pamphlet printed in or outside Malaysia for distribution overseas. This can get a
Tiffin,
deduction.
so
Yes.
this further deduction is single deduction ke?
What?
Is it single or double deduction sekarang ni? Further ni. Further deduction.
Further deduction.
So single ke double?
For the further deduction, it's
Because normally all these expenses normally is allowable expense because it's section 33. But when you say further deduction, is it given one further deduction means that it's a second deduction?
in the second deductions, it's for wait. It's for additional
Apa cakap tu?
deductions.
Ah, single or double? I think it's double. Right?
Yes.
So why does it say further? Because all these expenses,
Yes, double.
I say that I'm a business, okay, all the expenses in my business expense. But because of the promotion of export, because I involved in export, so that's why the government say, okay, I give you further deduction. So it means that you get second time deduction lah, so double deduction lah.
Okay. Okay,
So
that's
otherwise it doesn't fall under promotion of export lah kan? Because remember government wants to promote export. So in order to promote, they have to give incentive. So what kind of incentive? In the form of double deduction.
double deduction.
Mm.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor. Okay, next is provisions of samples, which is material costs, forwarding charges, postage, insurance, packaging, import duties, taxes paid in the country of destinations. And then we also can, if the export market research and export market informations, you also, all the expenses incurred in that also get the further deductions. And then tender for supply of good, which is expenses in relation to purchase of tender documents, expenses for preparing samples, and cost of deliver of tender document and samples to overseas destination. And these expenses are those direct attribute to the preparations of tender for the supply of good and agricultural product, and it it must make sure that the product not same kind and specifications as those regularly manufactured, produced or supplied by the company. And then negotiating or concluding contract also is this one is a further deduction that with restriction, which is return airfare. It's for economic class, and then ground transportation overseas. For the hotel accommodation, it's 300 per day, and sustenance is maximum 150 per day. And then maintaining sales office overseas, and then you can see the expenses. And then professional fees incurred on packaging design, like cost of packaging concept or labeling, cost of preparations of prototype, cost of logo designing, and cost of branding. Okay, next. Next is this also is under a further deductions, which is technical information, provisions of exhibit, public relations work, participation in trade fair and or trade, participation in virtual trade show, maintain warehouses overseas. And there are examples. These examples is given to show that situations that this company have get further deductions, which is Zati Sendirian Berhad, established in 2009, is a manufacturer of frozen catfish and marketed locally. In the year 2011, the company decided to export frozen catfish products and company incurred expenses on the preparing of tender to customer outside Malaysia. So this company is a resident company in Malaysia, and this company want to export their product outside Malaysia, and all the expenses incurred on the preparations of tender to the customer can get a further deductions for this company. But then it cannot, because the product to be export is the same product as previously produced by the company. Like as we know, the qualifying expenditure for the tender for the supply of good, it must make sure that the product is not a same product. So in the year 2012, Zati Sendirian Berhad has produced a new product, cane anchovies, to be marketed overseas. So this company has incurred all the expenses on preparing of tender to customer outside the Malaysia, and all the expenses that incurred on the preparing of tender can be a further deductions under the under the of, under the net after the net profit before tax. So I think that's all from me and from us. Thank you.
Doktor,
Doktor tak ada ke dalam ni?
tadi macam ada.
Ada dah. Dah kembali. Accidentally, I tekan tadi. Alright. So we have 15 more minutes. Third group nak present ke macam mana? Where's the third group? Tak ada.
Yes, Doctor, can.
Saya. Your group is it?
Yes.
Okay, go.
Yes, Doctor.
Alright. You have the floor.
Can you see the slide?
Yes.
Sunita?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, Shanila.
Okay, very good evening. Our topic is on incentives for agriculture. So, I would be the first presenter. Next, Shaheen. Okay, we would be presenting on the top 13 incentives of the agriculture. Shaheen, next. Okay, the first incentive is the pioneer status. So the companies that produce promoted products or engaged in promoted activities are eligible for the pioneer status. The companies would enjoy a partial exemption from the income tax.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, the company would pay tax on the 30% of this SI for the 5 years, commencing from its production date. So the unabsorbed capital allowance and also the accumulated losses incurred during the pioneer period can be carried forward and deducted from the post-pioneer income of the company. The applications received from the companies located in the promoted areas and also designated Eastern Corridor of Peninsular Malaysia will enjoy 100% tax exemption on their SI during their 5-year exemption period, and the application should be submitted to MIDA. Next, Shahid. The second incentive is investment tax allowance ITA. So the company granted ITA is entitled to an allowance of 60% on its QCE and incurred within the 5 years from the date for the first qualifying capital expenditure is incurred. The company can offset their allowance against their 70% of their statutory income for each year of assessment. Any unutilized allowance can be carried forward to subsequent years until fully utilized. The remaining 30% of the statutory income will be taxed at the prevailing company tax rate, which is 24%. Applications received from the companies located in the promoted areas and designated areas would enjoy an allowance of 100% on the QCE incurred within a period of 5 years. The allowance can only be offset against 100% of SI for each year of the assessment. The application should be submitted to MIDA also. Next. Okay, the third is incentives for companies supplying cold chain facilities. For new companies that provide cold room facilities for the agriculture products, for the companies with pioneer status, they will receive tax exemption of 70% of the SI for 5 years, or for the ITA companies, they will they will get 60% on QCE set off against 70% of their SI for 5 years also. For the existing companies supplying the cold chain facilities, they will reinvest in their cold room facilities and they will get PS with tax exemption of 70% of their increased statutory income, or ITA of 60% on additional QCE set off against 70% of their statutory income, both for 5 years also. Next. The next is the incentives for production of halal food to encourage new investment in the halal food production and to increase the use of modern and state-of-the-art machinery and equipment in producing high-quality halal food that comply with the international standards. Companies which invest in the halal food production can and have already obtained halal certification from JAKIM are eligible for the ITA of 100% of QCE incurred within a period of 5 years. Allowance can be set off against 100% statutory income in the year of assessment. Any unutilized allowance can be carried forward to the subsequent years until the whole amount has been fully utilized. Applications from the 11th September 2004 are eligible for this incentive, and the application should be submitted to MIDA. I will pass to the next person.
Hold on, Shamila. If you were to go back to halal just now, you're given 100% on capex lah. So the computation is hold on. How does it work again? Production of halal food is on the investment again lah, on the capex.
On the capex.
So the computation is similar to ITA, is it? Can I say that? So in this case, all right, if ITA, you have to apply ITA.
Yeah.
This one, instead of you apply ITA, you apply incentive for production of halal food.
Yes.
Right? And then you're given 100% on your qualifying capex for 5 years. Isn't it?
Yeah, yes, doctor.
or you can go also 100% against your SI.
SI.
All right.
So the next will be about the reinvestment allowance. So the companies must have already been in agriculture business for at least 36 months. For example, the company that involved in the production of essential foods like such as rice, corn, vegetables. Tuber is meaning that a vegetable which grow underground on the root of a plant, for example, like a potato or yam, and as well as the livestock, aquatic products, and other activities approved by the Minister of Finance are eligible for reinvestment allowance. So, a Malaysian resident company incurring qualifying capital expenditure is given reinvestment allowance about 60%. So, the claim reinvestment allowance is limited to 15-year assessment only. The allowance can be set off against 70% of the statutory income in the year of assessment. With the effect from the year assessment of 2019, unabsorbed reinvestment allowance will be accumulated up to end of 15-year assessment. After that, it will be continued to be carried forward and must be utilized within a period of 7 consecutive year assessment, and any reinvestment allowance will be deemed zero at the end of 7th year. Next. So these are the qualifying expenditure that includes in that incurred on. First one is clearing and preparation of land, planting of crops, provision of plant and machinery used in Malaysia for the purpose of crop cultivation, animal farming, aquaculture, inland fishing or deep sea fishing, and other agriculture or pastoral pursuits. Construction of access roads, including bridges, construction of purchase of buildings, including those provided for the welfare of people or as living accommodation, and structural improvements on land or other structures which are used for crop cultivation, animal farming, aquaculture, inland fishing, and other agriculture or pastoral pursuits. Such roads, bridge, buildings, structural improvements on land and other structures should be on land forming part of the land used for the purpose of such crop cultivation, animal farming, aquaculture, inland fishing, and other agriculture or pastoral pursuits. Next. Chai next. Okay, so with effect from year assessment 2011, Pioneer Company is not eligible to claim reinvestment allowance in the same basis period, even though there are two separate businesses in the Pioneer Company. It meaning that non-Pioneer business in agriculture should be excluded from Pioneer Company, so that the non-Pioneer business will be given the reinvestment allowance. Meanwhile, the Pioneer business expired in a basis period. The basis period will not be given the reinvestment allowance. Next. So, for example, Tara Agro Farm Sdn Berhad closes its accounts on to 31st December every year. So, the company is given pioneer status on 1st August 2015.
Jennifer.
Yes, doctor.
Right. I'm sorry, because this Pioneer ITA reinvestment allowance is a recap of what we had in your text 2, I think. All right. But because the time constraint, I think that you may skip example on this reinvestment allowance. Is that okay?
Okay,
yeah.
Doctor.
Because this one is a recap of what we had in text 2.
Okay, doctor. So the next will be intensive reinvestment in resource-based industries. So normally this incentive is offered to companies that own at least 51% owned by Malaysians and are in the rubber, oil palm, and wood-based industries that produce products with have export potential. So companies in these industry reinvesting for expansion purpose are eligible for the company that granted pioneer status with income tax exemption of 70% of statutory income for the period of 5 years.
So Jennifer, you can just say that, okay? For this company can apply eligible for pioneer status and ITA. Stop. Because it's the same. Shamila dah explain pioneer tu apa, ITA tu apa. Isn't it?
Okay.
Okay.
So this kind of company the company that in reinvesting in food processing activities for the by the pioneer status company, the tax exemption, the company will eligible for the pioneer status with income tax exemption of 70% of statutory income, and also the ITA of 60% on the additional qualifying capital expenditure income within a period of 5 years. So next will be Shak.
Jennifer? Hello.
Okay, Shaheen.
Okay, the next one is accelerate capital allowance. Upon the expiry of reinvestment allowance, companies that reinvest in promoted agricultural activities and food products are eligible to apply for the accelerate capital allowance (ACA). These activities include the cultivation of rice, maize, which is corn, vegetable, turbers, livestock, aquatic products, and any other activities approved by Minister of Finance. The one previously Jennifer explained. The SCA on the capital expenditure is to be utilized within 2 years. In example, initial allowance of 20% in the first year and the annual allowance of 40%. Claims should be submitted to IRB accompanied by a letter from MIDA clarifying that the companies are undertaking promoted agricultural activities or producing promoted food products. Next is agriculture allowance, which is under Schedule 3 of Income Tax Act. Is just now Jennifer explained the reinvestment allowance is actually same. We can say same. Capital expenditure that will be qualify, which are cleaning and preparation of land, plantation of crops, provision of plants and machinery used in Malaysia for purpose of the crop cultivation, animal farming, aquaculture, inland fishing or deep sea fishing, and other agriculture. Postal pursuits. Postal pursuits means horse and related things. And another one is construction of access roads, including bridge, construction or purchase of buildings. Then structure.
This agriculture allowance have you not covered in your tax too?
Yes, doctor.
Tak ada?
Yes, doctor.
Yes kan? So kalau you have covered that one, I don't want.
Already covered.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So you.
Okay. The one next one is incentives for export. In the previous presentation by Aishi, she already explained about this one. But the thing here, the single and double deduction for promoted of export, certain expenses incurred by resident companies in looking for opportunity to export Malaysia manufactured and agriculture products also and services qualify for single and double deduction. As Aishi already explained this part, I think no need to explain again.
All right.
Right, doctor?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, doctor. So I pass to the next presenter.
So next would be incentive for project of new food production. So I will just summarize with the exemptions. There will be like 10 years of assessment of statutory income, which the first approved food production project, and next will be the 5 years assessment expansion project involved in the new area of the land respects to the statutory income from the existing of the expansion project, and also this will be application received to the Ministry of Agriculture and Agro-based Industry in 1st January 2006 to the December 2020. Next. Next. Next will be the 100% allowance on the capital expenditure. So the approved project will be under the Schedule 4A, and the projects will be under the cultivation of the vegetable, fruits, and rearing of the deer, deep sea fishing, and all. Next time. So the next incentive, this will be enable person to carry such projects will elect to deduct the qualifying and capital expenditure. It's already explained before in the presentation. So this incentive is just not available to companies that have been not granted incentive under the Promotion of the Investment Act and whose tax relief period have not started or have not expired before this. Next. Next will be the incentive for research and development. This has the 4 categories under contract R&D companies, where the PS will have 100% of statutory income for 5 years, and the ITA will have 100% of QCE incurred with a period of the 10 years, and to be utilized against 70% of the statutory income. Under the R&D company will be ITA of 100% of QCE for the period of 10 years, and also to be utilized against 70% of the statutory income. In-house R&D will be the company undertaking in-house R&D project will be eligible for ITA rate of 50% of QCE incurred with a period of 10 years and also utilized against 70% statutory income. And next will be the commercialization of resources-based R&D findings, where the company that invests the sole purpose for the financing project will be findings given the deduction of equivalent to the value of the investment. The subsidiary undertaking the commercialization of R&D will be granted 100% of tax exemption of statutory for 10 years.
Hold on, ya, Managa. I just want to highlight here with regard to R&D company. Yeah. So we have many types of R&D company, right? So we have contract R&D company, means that a company which is contracted lah, so it's outside company. Yeah. So we also have another R&D company. So you see that, and then you also have in-house R&D. But in terms of the tax exemption given, right, you see that the contract R&D company and R&D company are given 100%. All right, 100% of their QCE against 70% SI. But you're looking at in-house R&D is only 50% of QCE. So which one is better? To have external or internal R&D?
External.
External, yeah. So if happen that, for example, if the company already have internal R&D, one of the tax planning that they can do is actually to put the R&D section, all right, separate from the company, as and means that you can create another company. Rather than having internal R&D, you create the R&D section as one subsidiary company, for example. Yeah, for that you can enjoy a higher tax exemption as compared having an internal R&D. I do not know what's the reason behind. All right, are they not encouraging internal R&D or because of the quality or what? I don't know why the government have this kind of difference treatment between internal and external. But you should know that having internal will have less tax exemption as compared having a contract or R&D company. Okay, next.
Next, Shaheen. Next will be the other incentive, where we have another manufacturing building allowance, infrastructure allowance, approved incentive for high technology project, incentive for SME, incentive for training, connect with tax incentive to modernize the poultry rearing system, and incentive for companies that reinvest in the same food products, and double deduction for expenses cost to get HALAL certificate and certificate of quality and accreditation.
So this incentive only is available for agricultural.
Yes.
What can you summarize from this? What can you conclude?
Okay.
You see that? All right. Just now, in the first slide, I think that you showed me 13 incentive, right? And now we have another incentive, and all these are eligible for agricultural company, isn't it? So it means that for this agriculture company, there's no reason for them actually to pay tax. Even if they have to pay tax, they only pay a very minimal tax, right? Why people don't go into all this industry? All right, is it not incentive enough where the government has to give so much incentive, or is it to protect our agricultural industry? All right, so many reasons behind, and because given incentive means that government is actually into that industry. Yeah. Okay. Next. Oh, thank you already. All right. So thank you again for the group. All right, you managed to present within 20 minutes. Congratulations on that. And as you can see that actually this presentation, this group is actually looking into agriculture. Right? What are the incentives given for agricultural industry, isn't it? Betul tak? So you see that there's a lot of incentive given to them. Yeah. But again, right, whether they actually make use of those incentive given, all right, or they are not aware of those, that's why they don't apply for the incentive, or I'm not sure what is actually happening in the ground. Yeah. All right. So it's already 6 o'clock, 10 past 6. All right. We have taken so much of our time, but thank you for all the presentations. But it's just that I want to highlight those group before, and even the first group and the second group lah. Your example long time ago, 2010, 2011, 2000. Now it's 2020. What I'm afraid, especially for the promotion of export, all right, I'm afraid that there are new laws that will no longer applicable for your example given in the presentation. That's I'm worried. Yeah. But again, for tax, you have to check for the latest law, especially on the promotion. But I think that because you have covered the single deduction, double deduction for deduction too, that one already covered for the latest law lah. But example, please make sure that when you do your presentation, make the example more relevant, alright? More recent lah. Janganlah buat 2010, 2011, 2007 tadi. Yeah. So that is for everyone. Yeah. Whenever you have your presentation, make sure that the data provided, you can actually change the date, no problem. Alright. You can take the example from the textbook or from any other references, but make it relevant. Alright. So I think that's all for today. Thank you for the presentation. I hope that everybody has actually appreciate the new knowledge that you have gained. All right. I hope to see you again next class, inshallah. With that, I thank you and I see you again. Yes?
Next, Christmas will be on Friday, right?
Uh-huh.
So then Friday in Johor is already weekend. So
Sunday you all cuti lah. So Sunday tak ada kelas lah. Alright, that's good for everyone. Okay, I'll see you. Thank you, Damia, for that. I'll see you next Wednesday then.
Okay, Doctor.
Yeah? Alright. Alright, thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Doctor.
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 Thank you, Doctor.